Thanks, Chair. It's not 2 months since the Tánaiste, then Taoiseach, suggested a citizens' assembly to deal with the question of neutrality. Why did the Tánaiste abandon the idea of the citizens' assembly? Was it the notion of the citizens that was offensive to him, given the citizens' very positive view of neutrality? Secondly, if I could ask the Tánaiste, why, if you want to have at least the pretence of not having a predetermined outcome, a genuine consultation, etc., then why on earth did you select as a chairperson a dame of the British Empire who is on record repeatedly as supporting the aims of US militarism, who supported in writing the US invasion of Afghanistan, who has written that the United States had very good reasons to object to the governments of Chile, Cuba and Nicaragua, and wrote to support coups and attempted coups pursued by US imperialism in Latin America in the 70s and 80s. How on earth is that in any way compatible with the idea of a genuinely open, non-prescriptive discussion process?
Murphy, when I did suggest a Citizens' Assembly, you were against it. Oh, yes, you were. Yes, you were, through the Chair. Through the Chair, you were against any discussion about this, because your view, Deputy Barry's view, Deputy Boyd Barrett's view, was no discussion. You just labelled everything I said in respect of this as a sort of some attempt, some strategy to end military neutrality. You immediately knee-jerked your way to sort of say that's what you're about. And the reason I went and recommended this format to government and to the Oireachtas is because you have your views on neutrality. You have your views on Irish foreign policy. I have views on Irish foreign policy. The party opposite have. Party over here have. Actually, I think this is a better forum because parties themselves might want to make submissions in line with their esprit de corps on foreign policy. And I actually think it's a better format than a Citizens' Assembly for something so fundamental as that which defines the state on the international level. That politicians too can make submissions. People who have divergent positions. The problem with you, Deputy, through the Chair, with the Deputy,
your time is up, Tánaiste.
is, yes, you don't like debate that isn't on your terms. And you lambast anybody that suggests an open, transparent forum for a discussion on Irish foreign policy and an analysis of the security threats and analysis in the future.
Deputy Murphy.
Taoiseach, we would welcome a citizens' assembly on neutrality. We didn't oppose it. I checked the record there, so you might correct the record of the House. We would welcome a debate now in a citizens' assembly, and ultimately what we think should happen is there should be a referendum. This should be put to the people to decide, as opposed to you and your government leading us step by step towards eroding of everything that is left of neutrality, both in actions. You look at the latest thing you're signing up to in terms of the NATO project to so-called protect underseas cables, and then this process. Secondly, ask again, how is it possible to have even a veneer of impartiality when you are a dame of the British Empire and you are on record repeatedly as supporting the aims of US militarism? How is that in any way compatible with being a chair of a neutral process designed to discuss the process of neutrality? Defend that appointment. I heard you earlier on say to Mick Barry, sure, you'd attack whoever we appointed. Well, you might at least have appointed someone then who wasn't on the record repeatedly as supporting the actions of US military. It really gives the game away in terms of what this is about.
Again, I predicted this would happen, and it is a tactic, a very nasty tactic of the far left, best exemplified by the Deputy here, to assassinate the person who gets appointed as chair. I think it's reprehensible behaviour, but you do it all of the time. Your movement does it all of the time. Attack the person who's appointed. That person through the chair has a very distinguished academic record. Born in Waterford, rose to the very top in the academic world in Oxford and in the UK. Record in her own right as a political scientist, and I think is a person who will chair in an admirable, objective way this consultative forum. And again, it just speaks to your hostility to anything that this side of the House might suggest in respect of defence and security. I mean, you talk about subsea cables. Subsea cables are important to this country. They're important to many countries across Europe and the free world, the world that you have great disdain for. And the economic well-being of the Irish citizens depends on protection of subsea cables. The thousands and thousands of workers who the Deputy claims to represent, their livelihoods depend on security in terms of subsea cables. There's nothing wrong with Ireland asking for assistance or being a party to non-NATO countries, with some countries who were in NATO. And so there is nothing wrong. I'll repeat what I'm saying. Just as there is nothing wrong, through the chair,
Tánaiste.
in respect of collaboration on cyber security. Look what happened to our health service 2 years ago. Look what happened to our health. Sorry, what are you saying by the subsea security? It's not. It's because it's not a public service.
This is
For God's sake, I think it's utterly ridiculous, shallow, and very superficial.
Time is up.
Your entire approach, and I think it needs to be taken head on. Your approach to these issues, because it's distortion and it's deliberately trying to obfuscate and undermine decent debate.